This is Jonathan Agar here for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by the man himself, Elie Seckbach, ES News. Elie, how are you finding Vegas?
Amazing. It's always great to be here for a Canelo fight. It's great to be here after 2-3 years of COVID. Today the arrivals looked like there was no COVID. It was amazing. It was incredible. The band, fans. It's Tuesday. People don't have jobs. So it was impressive.
Just for the fans, just briefly run us through your history into boxing and how it all began. Very briefly.
I covered the NBA for many years. I was very close to Kobe Bryant. And one day I met Manny Pacquiao and I started covering boxing. And from there, everything just organically took off. And before I knew it, I got 1 billion views and things are going great. And now we're here talking about Canelo-Bivol. Tough fight. I watched both of them spar. I'm excited. Bivol's the best shape he's ever been in all the years I've known him. Canelo's a superstar. Canelo was sparring Alex Gvozdyk, who's one of the biggest, baddest, best 175. So we're in for a treat.
Where do you rank Bivol in terms of the opponents Canelo's faced?
Right now, he's the best. The past is history. The future's a mystery. The present's a present. So right now, he's fighting the best 175-pounder in the world, in my opinion.
If he wins the fight, we're probably going to see him against Golovkin. Does that fight excite you?
Every fight excites me. I love boxing. I think Canelo wins that fight, but he's motivated because he doesn't like Golovkin, and Golovkin has a lot to say. So first, Canelo has to take care of this fight, and then maybe Triple G next, maybe the winner of Joe Smith, Bitterbayev. But yeah, I mean, why not? Hey, listen, if he sells out in the fights in England or Mexico or even here in the U.S., I don't mind that.
Tell us where you think Canelo ranks in terms of the greatest Mexican boxers of all time.
Let me rephrase that question. Where is Canelo in the list of all fighters' great time? Not even Mexico. He's one of the best fighters in history. And he still has 6 more years left. He's only 3 fighters in history of boxing were champion in 3 weight classes at the same time. Henry Armstrong did it back in the day, like 1929, 1930. Canelo was champ at 60, 68, and 75 at the same time. And Gervonta Davis was champ at 30, 35, and 40. So Canelo's undisputed 68. Maybe he'll be undisputed 75. Maybe undisputed cruiserweight. So in the end of the day, he could be one of the greatest, if not greatest fighter of all time. In Mexico, lots of boxing history. Obviously, everybody compare him to Chavez. But even Chavez and Roberto Duran give him his credit as the greatest.
Elie, what fights are you looking forward to coming out? You've got Gervonta Davis against Rolando Romero.
Fireworks. I can't wait for that one. It ends in a big knockout. I love knockouts. I know it's called boxing, but we all love knockouts. Tank, 26-0, 24 knockouts. Rolly's 14-0, 12 knockouts. Rolly's talks a lot of smack. When Tank fights all these great fighters, Leo Santa Cruz doesn't talk smack. What's the name of the 140 guy? Mario Barrios doesn't talk smack. Gamboa doesn't speak English, he just speaks Spanish. So now he's fighting a guy that won't be quiet, that won't shut up, so it sells. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to Charlo Castaño. I went to visit both of them in camp. Charlo's a man on a mission. That's going to be an explosion. Benavidez, I expect him to knock out David Lemieux in 2-3 rounds. There's a lot of big boxing fights coming up, so I'm looking forward. Joshua Usyk, looking forward to that one. I think Joshua's going to pull it off.
How do you compare when you interview UK fighters to US fighters? What are the main differences for you?
Different accents? No. UK fighters are very polite, they're very nice. So American fighters, just different, very proper. UK fighters, I don't think I've ever met one that really talks a lot of trash. They're very polite. But then again, maybe in England everybody's more proper. It sounds better even if they're talking. But boxing's boxing. You have great fighters everywhere. I've been covering Amir Khan since he came to the U.S. Great fighter. He had a great career. He's still not done, I think. Who else? Lots and lots of great fighters in England. But the thing is, I interview fighters all day, and it doesn't matter where they're from. They could be from Mars. If they're a great fighter and a great person, they have personality. It goes a long way. And the fans, they love them.
Now, you've obviously worked in boxing, the first real boxing reporter that does all this YouTube stuff. How big has it become since you first started?
When I started covering boxing, everybody that knew me from covering the NBA, because I worked for NBC, CBS, and Fox, they all said, you're doing a career suicide, it's going to ruin your career, nobody cares about boxing, it's a dying sport, no one's going to watch it. And when I applied the same rules of covering the NBA to covering boxing, and I think it was 3 years on YouTube covering the NBA, 10 million views. 12 years on YouTube covering boxing, like 1 billion, 20 million views. So I feel the sport has grown. I feel social media is helping a lot. Of course, the influencers are helping. It's a different sport right now than it was 12 years ago when I started. It's much more popular now. Every gym I go to is packed with people who want to learn how to box. Not everyone wants to be professional, but they want to learn. It's just very popular. Before, UFC was way more popular. Everywhere I went, everybody wanted to be UFC fighters. I see the sport in a very good place worldwide, and I'll tell you a funny story. When I got married, my wife didn't know exactly what I did. She knew that I do videos and I interview athletes, but she didn't, because I never really talk about work when I'm home. Nothing in my house says what I do. So we travel, and we're in 6 different countries. And every country, there was an ES News fan. My wife was like, what's going on? The cab driver in Ukraine runs over, wants a selfie. The kid selling fast food in Israel, hey, I'm the biggest Loma fan in this. So every country, we went to Italy and Spain. So boxing fans are very, very passionate, much more than basketball fans or soccer fans. They know their stuff, they're knowledgeable. If you follow boxing, you know who you love. A fighter like Manny Pacquiao taught me everything I know about the Philippines. I never knew anything about Philippines. Do you know what I mean? And so on Amir Khan, I happened to go with him to a mosque. Never been to a mosque before. So all kinds of experiences. I've been robbed at gunpoint with 7 Olympians. It's all kinds of crazy experiences. Shout out to Robert Garcia and everybody. They took me to Tijuana and been to Mexico with them. So boxing has taken me to China 6 times, to Azerbaijan, to all kinds of experiences that I didn't experience before. So the sport is growing, it's worldwide, and I think the future is very bright for the sport. People could complain about the social media influencers, but it brings in millions of new young fans, because a lot of the boxing fans before were much older, because they remember the old days. So now you have a lot of crossover.
What's the toughest part of your job?
There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of tough parts. I'm not a big fan of driving, and I drive hours and hours and hours to get interviews. Sometimes 9 hours in one day to interview. I'd rather, one day when I become really rich, I'm getting a driver so I can sit in the back and upload and make phone calls and work the phone. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. I like to be active and productive. And sometimes you could show up, and what if there's a fighter that doesn't want to talk? So you made it all the way, or they say, you know what, don't film me today. I don't like how I look. It happens. The worst is interviewing a fighter and they tell you, you know what, let's forget what we did today. Let's do it tomorrow. You know, it happens, but it's part of the course of the work. In general, I love every day, or I wouldn't be doing it. From the moment I wake up, could be like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. until midnight. Very long days. And it's working the phone, social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and trying to stay on current news and at the same time answer phone calls. I have meetings. It's much more than what people see the 20 seconds on social media, like, oh, that was a cool clip. But getting it is the deal, not posting it.
What's your sort of goals coming up for the next, say, 5 years? Where do you want yourself to be and your channel to be?
I don't know where I'll be in 5 minutes, so I can't answer that question. But just continue doing what I'm doing and believe organically, naturally, to continue growing. And I never thought in a million years I'll get to 1 billion views. I was just trying to upload stuff to YouTube so a TV station would hire me. And I did that, and I'm like, I didn't have fun working with a TV station. I like being independent. So now social media is where it is, YouTube where it's at, Instagram. Just continue working hard and just covering boxing. And wherever it happens, happens. If it becomes something much bigger, why not? If no, I'm happy.
2 more. What's your pound for pound, say, top 5 list?
Canelo, Earl Spence, Gervonta Davis, Usyk, and Jermell Charlo.
Interesting. It's quite a different one to what you normally hear, sort of, you know, Terence Crawford and...
Maybe I know boxing and other people don't. I'm just like, everybody has their thing. Listen, I like big punchers. I like exciting fights. But pound for pound is a very individual. Everybody's going to have their own list, who they like, who they enjoy. To me, Spence has the 3 belts in his division. Charlo, 3 belts in his division. Tank was a 3-division champ at the same time. So was Usyk. Canelo's a pound for pound king. But there's a lot of fighters that could be in and out. I think Benavidez is the only guy in my pound for pound that doesn't even have a belt, but he's on my pound for pound list. He's that good. So, pound for pound, when I see ESPN's pound for pound, I laugh. Everybody has different, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to put on their list what's good for them.
Opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But that's you asked me my top 5.
And just finally, so I watched some of your videos. You say that, you know, when it comes to Tyson Fury, you've got some fighters you think beat him, like Andy Ruiz, etc. Why do you think he would beat Tyson Fury?
Very easy. I actually met with Andy last week, and I told him the same thing. Andy Ruiz has a very, very high boxing IQ. People don't know how smart he is. Tyson Fury is a talented fighter. He moves well. First of all, against Andy, you have to punch down. Most of his opponents are way bigger. Number 2, Fury knows all the dirty tricks, and he uses them to the fullest. But it's not going to work against Andy, who's already experienced all that. So if Fury tries to lean on him, he's going to either get a punch to the balls, a punch to the chest, or something to make him regret it. Small things like that. And I also think Andy Fury's a little chinny. We've seen that with Cunningham. We've seen that with Deontay Wilder, of course. And I think Andy could pull it off, in my opinion.
And, you know, we know...
And I don't believe Tyson Fury is retired. I think he's just doing this, so when he comes back, I'm coming out of retirement for that fight.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on that. And just finally, Deontay Wilder, do you think he'll come back, and when do you think he might return?
I hope he comes back, but I don't know. I mean, you hear a lot of stuff of him going to start training. He's a great person. He's a great dad. And it'll be good if he comes back and has some big fights. Why not? I mean, he's great.
Absolutely. Elie, anything you want to add on sort of what you've got left to do this week? How's the week going to play out?
Crazy, just craziness. It's always crazy. You know, you start your day and you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know where you're going to end up in. So today I drove here. I had a major police chase on the way up here. I'll show it to you. They weren't chasing me, but they were. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive back to LA today, which is about 4 hours, come back tomorrow, and then, check this out, guys. The craziest things happen to me on the road. Last week, a coyote jumped in front of me driving home from Vegas. I don't know if you can see this in that. Check this out.
Zoom in.
A full car chase, police chase on the freeway. With a helicopter in the air. So, no, all I want to say is thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for the support. Lots of great boxing coming. We're going to have great coverage with everyone. Stay tuned. ES News everywhere. I'm Elie Seckbach reporting.